I'm Matt Braunger. This might help.
I am not a doctor.
This might help.
I'm not a professional.
Let's have fun. This honestly is a good time.
Honestly, I got no idea what I'm doing. What's going on? Who are you?
I'm Matt Braunger. This might help. The podcast.
Hey, welcome to This Might Help with Matt Braunger. As always, I overstate it and then overstate it. This is for fun. If you need clinical help, see a clinical person. I have the misfits in my life and people I'm interested in on the show, and we offer advice from our foibles and the good and bad moves we made in our lives. So anyway, thank you for being here, and thanks for being a mighty. My show today is great because I have a guy on I don't get to talk to enough, who I find fascinating. He is originally from Colorado, is a published author, had a book come out to grand acclaim that is about our business. That is the business of stand-up, which is one of the hardest things I've found to write about, even though I do it for a living. And is a great stand-up and a fun guy to boot. Please welcome Sam Tallent. How are you, Sam?
Hey, Braunger, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Nice bookshelf, man.
Thanks, man. It gives the false air of intellectualism.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm so intimidated. Do you and your wife argue about you having so many books? The books are the only point of contention in my relationship.
Oh, really? No, we don't, because when we moved into this house, when we got it, it had all these built-ins, and it was all pine, and it looked terrible. So we painted it like 7 times, 7 coats of white paint, and finally got it to this. But I just had all these books that were already, I think it was definitely a bone of contention before. But now that we had these, I need more room, and I find myself buying less books, which isn't good. But
dude, I'm piling on the books. I don't have built-ins, but I'm very envious of built-ins because they're so classy.
Yeah.
But I have 5 bookshelves against the wall in the front room, and Emily, my wife, is just constantly telling me I have to downgrade the books. When it comes to books, she's kind of like ISIS. She wants to destroy them. She wants to erase the past so she can build a new future without words.
Of course.
And
Sure.
it's the only thing we argue about, man.
And isn't it wild how that's always the move from the Nazis to Mao's communist wave? It's always burning the old. It's always look, get rid of the past. I got the new shit. Like,
Yeah.
anytime someone burns books, you're like, no.
That's where I get off when it comes to book burning.
Yeah.
Everything else, I don't care. Put them against the wall, put bullets in their heads. Fine. They probably had it coming.
Murder. You
Yeah.
murder everyone. Just don't. Just save the literature.
Yeah, genocide, whatever. Who am I to judge? But I need this first edition copy of Geek Love. You don't get what this means to me.
Yeah, I do miss as a kid. First off, I miss the discourse when I was younger, and I'm not even that old. I miss conversation between people who disagree rather than screaming and eye gouging when they get close enough, and evisceration online. Call me old fashioned, but I remember being in Powell's bookstore, which I grew up going to, which is a great big bookstore in Portland.
Yeah.
And I remember having a discussion with this guy about the anarchist cookbook.
Yeah.
And him going like, well, they don't really let us stock it because, they're, it's a little fascist, I'll be honest. But then again, you don't want people building bombs. And I remember talking about that book. If people don't know, it's a book that teaches you how to make various bombs and weapons and things.
How to improvise an insurrection. It's like a level 1 improv class for a revolution.
Yes, way better said than my fumbling. But yeah, and I remember having it, and I was just like, and I'm just learning about what it is. But this guy's having a kind of an argument in his own head as he's explaining it to me, which I never forget. It was really cool, I was like, yeah, I think it's good to be conflicted about that book.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not the Turner Diaries, It's like there's not any kind of white nationalist skew to that book. Right. And also, it teaches you how to smoke banana peels to get high, which does not work.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
There's a bunch of stuff in there about different ways to get high, from stuff you can steal from the supermarket.
Wow.
Like nutmeg or banana peels. And boy, did we try it. Boy, was I patient zero on all of those tests.
I tried the nutmeg one from the biography of Malcolm X, and it does not work. In a cold glass of water, 2 spoonfuls of nutmeg. I went right in the kitchen and did that, and just gave me nothing but a headache and stomach. Like,
I'm pretty sure that's a prank they pull on people in prison. That's like a day one goof.
Yeah. All I remember from that book is how to make. I barely remember how to make napalm from soap and gas.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's still stuck in my head. Thank God I never did it. Like, why do I need to make something that doesn't stop burning something? Like,
I did make a match head bomb from that book, which I believe is you open up a tennis ball and put as many match heads as you can in there. Whoa. And then when you bounce it off concrete, the friction inside will cause them all to explode.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean, it did pop, but it wasn't the fucking blockbuster that we all assumed it would be.
Sure, it was. Yeah, it wasn't a sack, a cloth sack of nails with.
It didn't make McVeigh jealous, Yeah,
it didn't murder a building of innocent people.
Yeah, and mostly children.
But God, I know that's.
Have you been to that the memorial there in Oklahoma City?
No, I'm gonna go when I'm there in end of October. I think I'm going to or September. Anyway, I'm going to Oklahoma City.
Check the website for dates.
Check my website for dates. But I'm definitely gonna go.
It's crazy, man. They have chairs for every victim, and then they have little chairs for every child.
Oh,
it's one of the most emotionally exhausting. I mean, it ruined me. It's tough to go to that and then be like, hey, who's ready to laugh? Especially the kind of comedy we do. It's a lot of slap and tickle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is. I feel like we have that in common. I think you're better at this than me, but you. I really think you turn towards the dark side, even though you're a funny person. And by dark side, I don't mean good or evil. I mean looking at life for how it truly is in a big way.
Thank you.
But you're very much a kind of master of ceremonies, of almost like to quote Bob Seger, "We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow?"
Yeah, man, live in that damn moment. Yeah. Put the cowboy hat on, have a Coors Light. Who cares? Yeah, we're all dust, baby.
Yeah. That's it. That's really. I mean, that's how I always kind of enjoyed you, and not only you're like very, very smart, but also in love with the dumb fun.
Oh yeah, I love dumb fun, dude.
Me too.
I love just goofing and giggling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Matt, but even before I started stand up, it was like you, Brett Weinbach, obviously Kinane, like your guys' very early TV sets were the kind of comedy you watch and you're like, oh, you can do it that way. Like when I was open micing, and you see people like be silly or weird. It's just, it like kind of blew open the modes of how to deliver comedy. Cause you just think, we're all ripping off Mitch Hedberg or David Tell when you start.
Absolutely.
And then you see someone do it uniquely and you're like, oh shit. Okay, cool. You don't have to just be a setup punchline guy.
Yeah. And I always loved seeing someone that was doing something that was uniquely them. Dumb thing to say, of course, but like Weinbach was a perfect example of someone that I saw. And I remember I was almost annoyed, not by him, but the way that people who disregarded stand-up in general would talk about him. And this is back in the MySpace days. And I remember people were just like, they'd try an open mic and just do something weird and not well thought out and just kind of to do it. And they'd immediately change their MySpace page to a comedian page. And they would talk about Brentler like, that guy's a genius. And I'm just like, I feel like you see one art house movie and you think the creator's a genius.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, but at the same time, I was just like, he kind of is, because he's a genius of confidence and of doing literally whatever he thinks is funny without regard for the audience, but then doing well, which I was just like, oh my God, you're amazing. Like,
yeah, it was important to see that kind of comedy as a young, bar hack. The guy doing like very bad crowd work, and then you're like, oh my God, he just did a bit with just his eyes that was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah
he had that bit about like serial killer eyes versus gay eyes, and it's just like, dude, gay eyes, pivotal moment in my comedy career.
Yeah, and very immersive. Where
Yeah.
you're like you've created a mood, sir, in this room that is, that's it's rare that someone can kind of do that. I feel like it's I feel like you take chances like that, but you're of the I think the Doug Stanhope here we are kind of model in terms of stand up, which I really
Thanks, man.
I'm a huge fan of.
Are you friends with Weinbach?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while,
Every
but
time I see him, like, I'm a big thunderous galoot who wants to like give everyone a noogie and
yeah,
put him on my shoulders and carry him across the room. And every time I'm like, God, dude, you have no idea what you mean to me. And he's just clearly terrified,
yeah,
because I've had like 7 Miller Lights and he hates eye contact. So it's like we
yeah.
couldn't be more different.
He's very private. I remember there was a girl that was a comedian who was obsessed with him, I guess in the Bay Area, and would like just go to all his shows and stuff. And I think it really fucked with him that this
Yeah.
person, it just the attention. But I feel like I've been lucky enough to have little. I can kind of find little pokes that get people like okay out of their discomfort zone. Where with him, I'd be like, I know he was a Bay Area guy, even though he was raised in LA, and I'd be like, well, you grew up in the Tenderloin, right? And I would just say that all the time. He's the shittiest area of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he'd go, what? No, like, and then he finally caught on. He's like, oh, you're just being stupid. Like,
Yeah.
and then we'd have these little inside jokes, like once backstage at I think it was a Sketchfest show. He was like, we were just sitting here next to some hand sanitizer, and he just pointed at it and he goes, put it on the dick. I'm like, yeah, you put that on your dick, put it on the dick. And so that became the thing where when we'd see each other and be like, hey, shake hands, put it on the dick, put it on the dick. And like, it was such a fun thing to say, because it's not only fun to have an inside joke, but it's fun that everyone around us is like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
You shake hands and say, put it on the dick. That's weird. It's bro-y and male.
Yeah.
So not him.
No. Yeah, because he's like from the future when it comes to gender.
Yeah, yes.
He like I didn't know he was even from America. I thought he cracked out of an egg on like the full moon. He's so like, there's a lack of humanity in what I've experienced from him that
Yeah. And
enough Weinbach talk. Jesus. This
Jeez,
is the number one
fuck
Weinbach
him.
pod.
Fuck him. Yeah. But I think anyway, we're just talking about the importance of uniqueness in comedy and stuff.
Yeah.
But you're a published author, and I haven't read your
Self-published.
book.
I gotta put that out there.
I'm really excited to read your book, because everyone I've spoken to just is over the moon about it. And I wrote a thing, just like a book about a comic on the road, and it's more to do with kind of these pockets in small college towns of, for want of another term, kind of Proud Boy ideologies that are I think we have these these groups that for some reason or another, I believe, have been tricked into believing they're abandoned, and that they have to kind of form these strongholds of
They've like martyred themselves.
yes, these confederacies, and it's more about, let's just say, a comic like myself and a female opener who are on the road together, and they run afoul of a group like that, and that's kind of where. But it's like, and I've had a few drafts, and I'm like, I don't know how many more rewrites away from it, but it's just.
And that's the novel, or is that the short stories you sent me?
No, that's the novel. That's the novel.
Okay.
And I'm only bringing it up because, for me, the stand-up parts were the hardest parts to write, even though I was going from my own act. And I know just from, I mean, I've read have not read your book, but I've read a lot of descriptions of it, and it just sounds like it's about, for one another term, a shitbag. At the end of his rope, and just on the road too long and stuff. So
it's a cautionary tale, man. It's the guy we don't want to turn into.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean? It's the guy you fear turning into when you're like at the late show Saturday and there's 35 people there, and you're like, well, probably just have 6 more spotted cows before I go on. It's like that dark just that, like, that evil id that's like inside all of us. And yeah, it was really easy to write because I've met a million dudes who I'd never ever want to be.
Yes. Oh, I'm taping a special in October, and the special is named after is the first name of one of the worst guys I've ever met. He's not a stand-up. And the closer is about the weekend I was around him in a vacation area with my wife. So that's one heavy theme of my new hour. A big chunk of it is the importance of bad examples, especially for us men.
Oh yeah. Well, especially now that you have your beautiful child. Like, I'm sure you're just constantly assessing who you want to be in the future for that child.
Without a doubt.
It's got to be heavy, man.
It is, but it's kind of like, I never thought this would happen to me. So and it's kind of like there's help and stuff, but there's no real rule book. But that to me is freeing. Yeah. Because it's just, I don't know who said it, but like someone said to me, like, look, long as you keep them safe and make them feel loved at all times, that's 90%. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And if I just focus on that and make sure to give her all the attention I can and try to teach her little things, it'll just, you learn as you go, almost like when we started out doing stand-up, where so much of it was just the watching and the listening and the enjoyment.
And the shutting the hell up.
Yes. Yes.
So many young comics don't shut up, and they're just like, they want to talk through other people's sets at the open mic. And it's like, this is like watching Adam Caton Holland, watching Ben Roy, watching Troy Walker. That's how we got good at stand-up, was just watching these people who were a little bit better. Yeah. There's so much just like networking and grab-assery at open mics nowadays that I don't see if anything's really worthwhile as far as time being spent.
I got to tell you, I just did Joe Coy's podcast, and he's a friend and is now, pretty much Eddie Murphy. Like, he's playing stadiums.
Oh, yeah.
And still the nicest guy. And we were talking about how so many people, they want a magic door. And I talked about a time my wife, who's a successful manager, was talking to somebody at a party, and this person was really, really high, and we were all partying, but the person was like, I want to do what you do. And my wife was like, okay, well, it took me about 10 years of this, that, just the steps, just being kind enough. And then the person took a pause and went, no, but like, other than that, how? And I think, and I said, Joe Coy and I were talking about, like, they want a magic door, but if there was a magic door, you wouldn't want to go through it because you wouldn't be ready for what's next if you did.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being like, I'm going to start karate at the black belt level and just and almost die, like get kicked in the face and die.
Yeah, continually get my throat stepped on. It's like when young comics they audition for something big too early, like when JFL goes to like Cincinnati and the 7 young funny comics are all recommended there, and then they get seen early, and whoever's in control is like, oh, these people aren't funny, and then it takes them like 5 years to get seen again.
Yeah,
that's such a brutal situation.
It's so rough because it's not just them who want to skip the line. Right. Everybody on every level of this business look. No one wants to do the work. I get it. No, but you have to.
No one wants to do the loony bins. Are you kidding?
I mean, Joe Coy. I mean, we were laughing where he was like, and to his credit, he didn't say who it was during the podcast or after, but somebody. He was about to play the Forum. He has 2 shows at the Forum. I've seen Prince at the Forum. It's a big room. The Lakers used to play there.
Yeah, it's a pretty big room.
Pretty big room. Pretty big. Somebody was like, hey, can I open for you at the Forum? And he's like, before he could even say no, the guy went, and then how much money would that get me? Like, how much?
Whoa, insane.
I mean, I thought that was, I couldn't stop chuckling at that for days. Oh. Just the balls and the lack of self-awareness.
That's vulgar. That's like a crude, obscene thing to do.
It is.
Ooh.
It is. I love it. I love it. It's so stupid. I love it. But that's where I got the analogy from the black belt competition. It's like, yeah. But okay, so seeing all these comics who like, do you have an example of a person you saw who, like, just a moment, like the older guy?
I have so many I mean, the patron saint of Denver comedy when I started was a guy named Troy Beasley.
Okay.
Do you ever meet Beasley?
I don't think so. no.
So he was like, you know, all the comics that you know from Denver, they all started his open mic at Lion's Lair.
Okay.
And then the first thing you ever did, once you got a little bit of time together, is you would go open for Beasley in like Wyoming or South Dakota. Like that was the first person you featured for on Triple Runs. Beasley would take you out, and that was kind of like you were anointed in Denver. So this is this guy that like all the people that are your heroes say is the funniest, and you've seen him proven to be the funniest. And then you're in a car with him as he's, you know, as soon as you're in the car in the morning, just drinking screwdrivers until you get to the show. Oh, no. And then there's a hunt for, you know, whatever narcotics that are necessary to get him through the next gig. And you're like, this guy is literally like my hero. And now I'm just trapped with this sad, small demon, you know? And then you get up on stage and kill. So you're like, oh God, this guy's not gonna be able to do the job. And then of course he's the funniest person ever in Gillette, Wyoming. So it's just this roller coaster of like, oh, this is sad. Oh God, I'm gonna have to carry him out of here. Jesus Christ, he's a man on fire up there. Yeah. And then after the show, everyone thinks he's the best. Party, party, party. Next day, just the goblin until 8 o'clock that night.
Right. Oh, yeah. I remember a guy I opened for at Zanies in Chicago. In Chicago, we barely played Zanies. They wouldn't let us in, and we honestly didn't try that hard, with the exception of like John Roy, who is a worker, who back then was like the guy who, that's why he, you know, didn't have a day job and had his own car. Yeah. But like, I opened with this guy, and this guy just destroyed, like killed everything, landed. Then after the show, he was talking to me, and he was nice. He was like, so how long you been doing it? You know, just being kind. But he was visibly shaking. And it wasn't, I really don't think it was from drugs or alcohol. And he wasn't drinking. I was having a drink. I firmly believe, had done that hour for probably 15 years straight.
Oh my God.
And it was like, he had PTSD probably every single night.
Oh, makes my skin crawl, man.
Right? And it's a similar thing to, you know, your guy, no way could go do a sober night.
Yeah, no way.
No way. And this guy, no way could do a new bit. And it's just both addictions. It's both being completely trapped.
Well, addicted to killing. I mean, I definitely was addicted to killing. Sure, I need to crush, but then you try and eventually figure out how to crush doing your own thing.
Yeah.
Because that hour that's bulletproof and works everywhere is such a safety blanket and such a tumultuous and scary job like stand-up. But then, you know, as soon as you get back to New Orleans and your friends are like, hey, like the new stuff, and they're lying because there was no new stuff, that's the worst barb that I can receive. You know, because like the crowd's like, this guy's hilarious, but then your friends are like, Jesus, man, get it together. You know, you're still closing with that same bit, and it's like, all right. So now I'm just trying to improvise as much as possible on stage. You know, I've been pulling off like 45 minutes, just improvise crowd work, you know, doing, you know, doing callbacks, that all the tricks we know how to do, but still it's really exciting and invigorating for me to do this kind of comedy that is not like safe, as pretentious as that sounds, you know?
No, it's absolutely true. And I've had to do it for my own safety, and had to just have these raw, honest moments. Like there's a guy I've, for some reason, by luck of the draw, I've been following at Comedy Store named Rick Ingram, who is like, all he does is crowd work and just rips a hole in him. And then I go up with my prepared stuff, and they're kind of disappointed. They're like, you're not going to talk to us? So I don't necessarily talk to them, but I start making stuff up, and I start improvising, and start not judging myself for not, you know, putting my flag in the ground and causing an earthquake, but just, you know, still doing, you know, good. Yeah. Just like letting myself grow. This weekend, I played an adult summer camp called Apocalypse Supper Club in a camp off of Lake Erie, that a bunch of people found each other on Facebook, and they were just like, the 2 rules: no politics and be nice. And they call themselves the nicest people on Facebook. And they started this in 2020, and this is their second one, and they have bands and they have comedians, and they all cook. And so I went.
Sounds so wholesome.
It was, and like you can tell, some of them I would diametrically disagree with, I'm sure, and other ones but it's like, it was cool just to be around people and be out. We're out. The whole thing was outside. All the shows were outside, and it's small. And anyway, long story long, I I was the last act of everything because the comedy was at night. And I didn't get on stage till like 11 p.m. And I'm seeing everyone play with their kids, and the music was a little slower and kind of what I call like Silver Lake folk music, let's just say.
Oh, yeah.
It's good, but it's also like, man,
It's not a party starter.
not a party starter. And so
no one's kicking out those jams.
I was just like, I did well, and then I started doing badly, and my jokes were not landing, and I just said out loud, am I losing you guys? And they're like, no. And I was like, you know what? I miss my fucking kid. And it was me saying that out loud was like this thing of just, let me just tell you my truth, what's going on with me right now. And the crowd went, and I went, God damn it, it's like a poison. And I started just talking about that and getting into more of those bits. And then from then on out, it was gold, and I finished strong. But if I had just done what I used to do, which is plow through,
Put your head down.
Put your head down and go.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been really mad at myself, but it was. Don't get me wrong, I still second guessed myself after the show. I still talking to the booker. I was like, was that terrible? He's like, no, and I was like, okay, But
It's
it
the
was
worst conversation.
Yeah, you got. It's just like I'm the guy who I remember back in Portland. I had like a great set, and then an older comic would be like, "That had to hurt," and I go, "What did I say? Oh, fuck you!" Like for a second, you had me. But anyway, like I'm interested in those honest moments because they are.
Yeah.
That's the thing we all kind of wanted. Well,
I saw a TED talk on it. Like the humans can pick up on due to whatever, the nonverbal cues. I was a rhetoric major, so I had to study all this shit.
Oh, wow.
But like there's like nonverbal cues when an orator is going off the top as composed as compared to when they're reading something that like rote that they've memorized, and for some reason there's a more communal, not for some reason, it's a more communal experience when people can tell that you're improvising as opposed to when you're going up there and giving them a prepared piece of rhetoric. And that's like, I mean, I'm not a fan of the guy's work, but all the fascist orators like Mussolini and Hitler, people liked them a lot because they were going off the dome. They were riffing, they were hitting him with the Cat Williams. You know what I mean? Yeah. As opposed to like all the American presidents of the same era, like Eisenhower and FDR, they were so memorized that they weren't the engaging speakers that they had in Europe. So when you're improvising, it's people can tell and they love it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, it's weird.
And that was, I think, one reason why Trump hit it so big, because definitely he would go completely off.
Yeah.
He was
freestyling.
Freestyling, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, but you're right, dude. Like writing the stand-up in my book was the worst part because I had to have the fine line of him being, he had to be hacky enough that you can tell why he wasn't a huge success, but he also had to be skilled enough for the reader to like understand why he was such a compelling performer, and also like why he had the chops of how long he'd been doing stand-up. So writing those parts of the book where he's on stage, those were the most difficult passages to put together.
I'm sure. There's a reason why. Let's be honest. I think no one wants to watch any media about a stand-up comedian. Let's say a TV show or a movie.
Besides comics,
you maybe. Well, we want to sell one because it's our whole lives. We want to do something about our lives. Yeah. But it's I don't think it's as true at all with books, because books can be, if you make it interesting enough, it can be about anything. Problem with any media about a stand-up comedian is that most people deep down think they could do it.
Yeah,
they're like,
for sure.
I loved the interview moment with Michael Keaton where he never gets emotional or whatever, but he got actually kind of angry. We're talking about when he started getting work in Hollywood as an actor. He was, he started getting booked and it became pretty regular, and he was on something, and he's like, and another actor was like, "Didn't you do stand up?" And he's like, "Yeah, for a long, long time." And he goes, the actor, just some rando, just goes, "Yeah, I never tried that." I'm like, "Oh, tried? You could just you just think you can do it like you do this?" Yeah,
you never dipped your toes in the water.
You wanted to kill the guy. And I thought that was so funny, because when you've been through that kind of hell, I don't resent people for thinking they can, and maybe they all can, who the fuck knows. But it is funny how, and 90% more with men when they find out you're a comic. They're like, my friends always I should try that. And it's like they want you to be their manager. They want you to talk them into doing it, show them how to do it, use all the sacrifices you've made to help them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just a male thing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, ever since the book came out, I get people just unsolicited with the emails of, hey, so you wrote a book and you put it out yourself. Will you read this 400-page manuscript and give me notes? And it's the same thing when like a new person in comedy is like, hey, will you watch my act and tell me what to do better? And it's like, I never want to do that because you'll just sound more like me. You should never take any advice from anyone when you're new in comedy. Just do it a million times and be nice to people. But I'm also like, I'm starting to publish. I'm publishing books on my press, Too Big to Fail press.
Nice.
And I took in so many submissions and most of them were dog shit. But when I finally found the one that was good, I felt like the smartest man alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is rewarding when you do take that chance, but you have to wade through so much feces and effluvium to finally get there that it really isn't worth the payoff sometimes, unless it's really fucking good when you find it.
And I love the fact that you did the most important thing in life, which is you did the work, you did the effort, you gave the effort to something you love. And because that is how you truly respect something you love, as we all know. But you're also not jaded and bitter about it. You're just honest about the stuff you didn't like, because you and I had a lot of people around us starting out, and I came real close to being this person who was just like, what's the point? It all fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And granted, when I was hitting that, point of capacity, it was because I had major disappointments and, had gotten fucked over a couple times in this, this marvelous business that, it's made of love and brother and sisterhood, as we know. But it's a shit show. It is. Yeah. And, so thankfully I turned towards my joy, as the Buddhists say, rather than become jaded. But like, I feel like there's a lot of people who, it's like that Patton had that thing about, you can be the funniest guy in the coffee shop and you're never going to leave because what's the fucking point? Or you can actually try to, take your gift, so to speak, to a bigger stage.
Yeah, and go get hurt. There's a lot of people just that are afraid of wounding their ego or their pride or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm not jaded because I know how lucky we are to be able to make a living off stand-up. We're the luckiest people in the world. Our friends are the funniest people alive. Whenever you go to a different city, you get to meet other people who are not just funny, but like trying to get funnier and trying to be inspired. It's like that Nate Bargatze joke about his wife being like, why don't you ever want to hang out with my friends? And he's like, well, my friends are always working on new jokes. When's the last time you had a new bit, honey? You're not giving me any tags. What are you talking about? My friends are the funniest people alive. And that's how I feel. I'm just incredibly grateful for everything that I have,
Yeah, and we're in a business that is often ruled by ego, but we won't let each other have any, which is beautiful. I'll never forget, we had the Lion's Den back in Chicago. That was our open mic thing that we all started out in, and everyone, not everyone, but like a lot of big names would just drop in and do us like a set. George Carlin came by one night, Attell, and Stanhope came by one night. And there was a guy in our scene whose name I won't say it, but he was one of those guys who, like, in his own mind, like, I'm Bill Hicks. I'm the Bill Hicks of this group.
Oh yeah.
Smoking, dark bits, and had one dark bit that was always what he closed with. And it's like, dude, it's that thing you said of like, love the new shit, man. So Doug's there, he's there, he just corners Doug. And it's like, you and me, man, we're not like these guys. Like, literally, and Doug was like, oh, yeah, man, yeah, like, shining him on. What's your name? He tells him. Doug gets on stage, he goes, you guys met this fucking asshole, and says his name on stage, and we're all like, oh, no. I mean, I genuinely felt terrible for the guy, but boy, did he ask for it. To be like, these guys, they don't get it. You get it, I get it.
Yeah, I'm truth tellers.
Oh God, to think that in your mind, but I mean, we all prop ourselves on something, I guess. But it was that thing. Where I was like, oh no, Doug. Oh
yeah. I mean, stand openers, man. The people who idolize him.
Yeah.
Oh, what a rough breed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I spent a couple of weeks with Stanhope last year because he's been championing my book. Like everything good that came from the book comes from Doug, so I'm forever in his debt.
Mm-hmm.
But he has an incredibly silly sense of humor when you're hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not this like dark, festering imp that everyone thinks he is. He's just a guy who wants to cut it up with his pals and watch baseball. Like his persona on stage, I think people have put that on him a lot more than he actually is.
Without a doubt.
Like he's never tried to cultivate that air of like, I'm the dark prince of the truth. It's like, no, it's just how he interprets the world happens to be a little bit darker, but those are funny bits. Bill Hicks wasn't funny towards the end. Remember when he was dressing like a cowboy and no one called him out on it? Yeah. He wore that duster in London and like had a cowboy hat on
and flames behind him and like doing terrible music.
Yeah, he dressed like the Undertaker and no one called him out on it.
Yeah, because he didn't have any contemporaries exactly doing in his field, and it was just, I mean, and it was like the only stand-up that matters, and they're like, well, I mean, if it's making a fucking near suicidal manager of an Arby's who's about to be divorced goes to a show and laughs at some goof with his suit jacket rolled up to the elbows, like I'm not gonna shit on that guy. Like Bill Hicks hates it, or and his fans. I mean, Doug was at the Sky Lounge with his friends, which he had bullshitted his way in, and my wife and mother-in-law and father-in-law were there. We're all going to Las Vegas. And I'm in the bathroom peeing, and Doug comes in with his loud yellow suit, and he's like, "Fuck are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Hey man," and he's like, I tell him, and he's like, "It's your mother-in-law's birthday." He just sends cake and champagne over to, like, he just gave money to all the people working in the Sky Lounge to bring it. Happy birthday! Like he got the whole Delta Sky Lounge. It's like that's not what the leader of the apocalyptic monster man does.
The 25-year-old nihilistic death cult does not send cake.
Nope. You know, shitty fuck the world incels do not send over cake and champagne to a mother-in-law.
Oh yeah, he couldn't be more generous and a better host. Like I remember I mentioned offhand I like Bloody Marys. I woke up the next day, there was an entire Bloody Mary bar just set up for me, and he's like, "I hate Bloody Marys, but I'm gonna be drinking them all day with you." Yeah.
What a fucking champion.
Oh, dude, I was so happy that he was so kind to me.
That's so dope, dude.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's get to the calls. This has been I could literally talk to you for like 3 more hours. This has been so fun. But let's see. I hope
the listeners are enjoying it.
Oh,
we're just being sincere. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, I feel like the thing about podcasts, and I've said this a billion times, is they keep me company. So right now there's someone driving in a car or working a job they might be bored of or whatever, and they're like, okay, cool, I'm getting insight into something I might or might not know, but I
don't think of you or me as like very like sincere, deep thinkers. We're pretty much goofballs.
Yeah. But that's all right. That's all right.
It's like, these fucking weird-bodied freaks are getting deep.
That's us. Weird Body Tour coming 2020. So I don't hear any of these calls. Renee, my producer, he listens to them first, and so he'll just pick them. I don't know what we're getting. So we got 3 calls. So let's roll the first.
Hey, Matt and Sam T. It's your boy Max Beasley calling because I'm in a little bit of a pickle. So my dad is getting remarried, and my mom doesn't know about it, and my brother and I feel an obligation to let her know. If you guys have any ideas on how we should go about doing that, any advice would be much appreciated. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Do you know Beasley?
I know the name.
Really, really good kid. He started in Denver.
Okay.
I love him dearly. So this is kind of an awkward position to be put in, but yeah, I don't know. What's your initial take? I have mine.
Okay. I'll go first in this one. You go first in the second one.
Okay.
My honest feeling is, well, first off, I always have questions, but we don't have answers, so I guess there's no point in asking them. I
know that his father moved to, I don't know how much this should put out there, but his father moved away to a different part of the country to start like a new life.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll put that. I think that's enough.
Perfect. I think it's the thing of like, hey mom, we either like, can we get coffee or can we come by, go together in person, sit down, and talk to her, because it's the important thing is she has you guys, and I'm sure it's going to hurt, but it's to call and be like, and to hear your disembodied son tell you that, you want the warmth of someone's presence. So
Right.
I think it's as simple as just sit down, don't overthink it, and just tell her. Right? That's my call. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think if you're going to have that conversation, it's for sure face to face.
Right.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know. My initial read is everyone's an adult and it's none of her business. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to lack empathy or compassion. Obviously, you want to comfort your mother, but will you telling your mother that he is getting remarried bring her comfort, or will it bring her pain?
It's a really good point.
I think you
Yeah.
have to serve what's going to make your mom feel better. And if she can live in a world without knowing, then maybe that's a better reality to occupy than the one that's actually true.
It's really true. Yeah. I just kind of in this social media world, I just in
She'll
my
know.
mind, I was like,
She'll
how
know
did
for
you
sure.
not find out?
Right.
And she turns to them and is like, why didn't you guys tell
Why
me?
didn't you tell
But
me?
That said, they can definitely take. I'm not saying take my advice. I am certainly not, or definitely take yours or whatever. But I like your angle because I didn't consider it. B, it could be the kindest way, and also the most ethical all around. Not only to her but to him. Where even if she does snap back on you and is like, why didn't you tell me? It's like, mom, he's moved on. That is his life. I don't see why I would have to, but then it's a whole nest of rattlesnakes. I don't know.
I think the biggest question you're trying to avoid in this whole thing is your mother saying, why didn't you tell me? I think that's the biggest risk, because if she feels like she's had her back turned on her by her former husband,
Right.
and then she thinks that they've taken the side by not telling her, even if it is to protect her, and then she feels like she's lost the trust of her kids and no one's going to keep her in the loop, I think that's a much more difficult position to be in.
Yeah.
So you probably do need to cut that off at the head and just go talk to her about it.
Yeah, and you know what? What I'm going to take back is both you show up. Maybe just you. Maybe just you just go, hey, let's get a cup of coffee. Hey, mom, I figured you might find this out, and I don't know if you would, but I don't know if, deserve is a thing, you need to know about or whatever, but dad's getting remarried.
I feel like my sister and I are very close, and I think that I would love to have my sister there just so when I've ran out of things to say that are nice, she can be there for backup or vice versa.
Right. Okay.
That's what I think. I think if you're going to do it, hopefully the sibling can be there and you guys can have that conversation with your mom.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think that's definitely correct. And that's interesting to tell that the difference in perspectives, because I'm an only child.
Okay, yeah. Having a sister is like the greatest asset ever. My sister's been there with me through so many difficult times with my mom and dad, and they're happily married and they have for a long time. But God damn, if I was alone in some of these struggles, it would have been brutal.
Yeah.
But you're probably more self-reliant because you didn't have the benefit of a sibling.
Well, I am, but I also I had parents who worked as teachers in schools, and so they dealt with crises all the time, and so I think they built up an armor in a sense, in a good way, where they were very in touch with their feelings. So I remember arguments and fights and things, but I really don't look back on it and go, boy, that was tough. Even when I'm sure it certainly was. It was just kind of like this. I was never made to feel like I wasn't loved, and all the important things were there. So yeah.
And also I'll say this, I don't think this is a situation where you take your mom to a movie and then dinner and then break it at the end. I think it's a very simple conversation.
Yes.
Because you don't want her to think that you were like, trying to prime the pump. You just want her to, this is an adult conversation between your kids and their mother, and we're just people having an adult conversation, and that's it. We're not trying to protect your feelings. We just want you to have all the information.
Yeah, weird analogy. I remember a girl I'd gone on a couple dates with. I was like, let's go somewhere nice, and I took her and treated her to a nice dinner. And then after we'd finished eating and I'd paid, she goes, "Confession time. I'm dating my ex."
Oh God!
that thing was like, hey, you let me pay for everything. And it's like transactional or anything, and I didn't really feel that way. Like, I thought I was getting laid, man. And we weren't even that serious, but it was like, I will still say to myself, confession time, in this happy like voice, and it'll make me laugh inside because it was just, hey, what the fuck, man? So yeah, it is. It's like get to the point right away.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Confession time.
I mean, maybe your mom, you tell her mom, and then your mom is like, can we get a drink? And you're like, let's do it. Let's do it.
Have your evening free for whatever mom needs after.
Whatever, she makes the call.
Yes, for sure.
So, all right, Beasley.
She rejoices too. Anyway, that's enough.
Yeah. Hope that helps. Yeah, I think we got that one.
I love you, Max.
Yeah.
Funny
Thanks
kid.
for calling, dude. Really appreciate you. Okay, caller number 2.
Hey, Matt, I have a question I've been wrestling with the last 2 months or so. Do I go to my older brother's wedding reception? Little backstory, I'm one of 4 kids, only girl, and none of us kids have a relationship with one another for different reasons. Like, we don't speak to each other or see each other outside of holiday family gatherings. So my older brother in particular has literally not spoken to me, so I'll say at least 5 years. I don't know, I've lost track at this point. Won't say hello, goodbye, or even acknowledge me when I'm in the same room. He has anger issues and holds grudges against me and my parents for all kinds of things that happened when we were kids, like over 20 years ago. He's told people the last few years he's always wished that he was an only child. He just got married to a nice girl in July at a ceremony with just our parents. Now they are having a big 125-person wedding reception at my parents' house. Is it wrong I have zero interest in going? I know it'll hurt my parents' feelings. They are the ones I'm dreading telling. I know my brother couldn't care less, and I don't really have much of a relationship with his wife. We're cordial to one another, but I'm not comfortable being too close with her given my brother's issues. I did go to her bridal shower last month, and I'll send them a gift regardless. What are your thoughts? Do I suck it up and go? Also, I feel like if I do go, it'll obligate me to invite him to my wedding one day. And who the hell wants someone at their wedding that doesn't speak to them? Thanks, Matt.
All right, I said I would. I took that one. You took this one first. Now.
Okay. Well, I think that as you get older, you choose who your family is, as Ben Roy always says. But I also think that I'm not saying you're being petty or vindictive in this, but the best revenge is to live a nice life. So, I mean, if you love your parents, maybe there'll be people there you haven't seen in a while. I mean, it could be a nice party. You don't have to, your brother's clearly very immature. He's wishing he was an only child as an adult. That's the thing that babies say. So you're not going to be able to fix things with your brother at his reception, but I think you can go and you can, hang out with your mom and dad, maybe see some cousins. I don't know. I feel like you don't have to do anything involved with your brother, but you can go and have a nice time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I would add, to your point of you don't have to pick your family, you have zero obligation.
Correct.
It is entirely up to you.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in someone kicking me around for 5 years and then I have to be, the better person.
You owe him nothing.
The extreme version of this call, I had, I don't know if you know Ira Madison III. He does that podcast, Keep It. Very, very funny writer, playwright, something of a comic. And he had someone called in and was like, my father's dying. He's treating me like shit my whole life. Do I need to go? And I'm like, I'll let you take this, Ira. And Ira was just like, I'm just going to say, if I found out my father was dying, I would hang up the phone, make myself a drink, and watch a movie. And I was like, that's kind of it. If someone's treated you like shit, every movie would tell you, no, reach out, be there for them. You'll regret it. And it's like, okay, but what about personal responsibility? What about this person never owning their own shit?
Yeah. And also protecting yourself from more pain.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what if you go to daddy's deathbed and he's like, I never loved you. And it's like, oh, okay, I didn't need
Why did I show up?
Yeah. Why'd I fly into Lansing?
It's happy hour at the TGI Fridays by my hotel.
I got off work for this. What are we doing?
Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's on you. Consider it as Sam said for the good reasons. But in the end, weigh it out. You decide. There's no right, no wrong.
Right. And you've been living with this pain for so long that you can go be in the same room as him and still probably have a nice time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't think you owe him any obligation to invite him to your wedding.
Hell no.
Yeah, your wedding is your most special day. Fuck that.
And he didn't, so don't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's yeah. So
Yeah. I think you got a nice perspective, lady, and I'm happy for you. And I think you just do whatever makes you feel good.
yeah, and above all, don't let other people's horse shit make you feel a certain way about yourself.
Yeah. It's not your baggage to carry.
That's right. Okay, hope that helps. You ready for the last call?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, and let's do it.
Hey, Matt, this is Zach from Cleveland. Big fan of the podcast. I have a question. So I'm here, I'm trying to take my vitamins, and my wife says even though I'm going to drink another beer, I should take the vitamins with water and then have a beer. But I just want to take the vitamins with beer. So is that okay to do? Or should I take the vitamins with water and then drink a beer? Thanks.
This guy's real shooter on the flats. He's Cleveland through and through, man.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
Oh my goodness. I never one of the big rule the rule everyone adheres to without me ever telling them is just treat the caller sincerely, no matter how insane they sound or
Right.
whatever, you know. And so like this is an easy one to be that way with. This doesn't you know refer to that. But the other one I never mention is we don't Google anything.
Okay.
Where someone's like, "Hey, how do I?" I'm not going to go be like, well, "Is there an agency for that?" You know, I'm not going to look it up. I don't know if a beer will negate a vitamin. Off the top of my head, I wouldn't think it would. Probably you taking a multivitamin and drinking a case of PBR negates the multivitamin or for whatever it does, if anything. And most studies have shown that multivitamins and vitamins don't really do much.
Yeah.
And Sam, what do you think? That's my feeling.
I think that if you're drinking beers the way that I drink beers, it is nice to have a glass of water in between every second beer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially if you're drinking an IPA. If you're just out there drinking Michelob Ultras or some Miller Lights, you're going to be fine. But I do think that I think the volume of water you have in your body will dilute the vitamins. And then also your kidneys are working so hard to process the excess liquid that you're probably going to have a harder time absorbing the vitamins into your body because they're going to be pushing that water out so quickly.
Yep.
That's what I'll say. So I think that if you really want to get the benefits of those vitamins, I don't think it's good to have them with a beer. If you're in a session of boozing, I don't know if it's the time to take your vitamins.
No, I think that's more for recovery time. When you're having like half an avocado and a banana in the morning, with lots of water and a cup of strong coffee. Like that's when your vitamin time is necessary, and definitely on the sober days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. Yeah, you're right. I think you're kind of wiping one thing away with the other.
But if you're having one beer and this is your second beer, then go ahead and take those vitamins. Mm-hmm. But if you're on beer 6 and you're going to kill the case, I don't think it's time for vitamins. Yeah, I think you should eat some pizza or lay down that basic carbohydrates just so you'll feel a little bit better tomorrow.
Exactly. And water. I cannot stress that enough.
And that's coming from a guy who really likes to have a bunch of light beer. So, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, you're talking to a couple experts right here, man.
That's right. Yes, take it from us. We're rising in age, and we're still going. Not as hard as we used to.
No,
but just modify is the rule.
You know what? Get some magnesium. Get some electrolytes. I think that might be more important than just a random multivitamin. Mm-hmm. I don't think vitamin C is going to help you through the next day as much as potassium and sodium will.
Yes. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's why I always say like when people are like, what's the best remedy for a hangover? I'm just like water, exercise, and a banana.
Yeah,
like eating a banana when you're hungover, you're like, oh, I feel 30% better.
Correct.
It's just a potassium bomb.
Right, and also there's only 7% of the daily allotment in a single banana that you need throughout the day, but I've had this argument with my wife, who's a doctor, a lot, where I'm like, I'm never getting enough potassium. I have to eat 12 avocados to get 100% of my recommended daily value of potassium. And she says, no, your system is always maintaining potassium. this is the way to help your the cellular exchange of sodium, potassium is just to maintain it, to keep adding it to the tank. You don't need to get 100% of your potassium every day.
Wow.
Yeah, which I've never understood, because when you find out how much potassium is in a banana, I'm just furious. I'm like, I'm wasting this time eating a banana. That's how I feel.
I should be eating a bowl of guacamole with a spoon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just beets. If you eat beets every day, you're going to live forever, apparently.
I forget that beets had potassium in them. Okay. That's good.
Potatoes have a huge amount of potassium.
I mean, you just explained how the Russian consumption of vodka works.
That's right. Yes.
Really. And the Slavic countries where those places, I think they said something like 70% of people when they're deceased in those areas have a blood alcohol level like higher than you can drive or something like that. Like it's something like, and it's like, that's not necessarily what killed them. It's like, oh, it's an 80-year-old guy who he had an aneurysm or he fell off the barn or whatever. And it's just like, wait, he's drunk at 9 a.m. Why did he had his morning vodka shots, but he ate lots of beets and potatoes through his life.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, a lot of root vegetables. He was fine.
That's all you need.
Yeah, and also that is a natural cause of death in Slavic places, is falling off a barn. Yeah, the insurance companies don't bat an eye.
I'm sure. It's like, that's covered. That's covered. That's why you paid so much a month for barn fallings.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those are the calls. The book is called Running the Light.
Yeah.
Sam Tallent.
Go ahead and buy it at samtallent.com. I'll send you a signed copy. And I have a special coming out September 7th on every video on demand place. And the thing I think I'm most excited about, sorry, just to fucking take the reins.
No, this
on
is plug
plugs.
time. You took the lead before I could say it.
I'm doing a thing where if you want to subscribe for $8.99 a month, you will receive a new piece of writing in the mail from me every month, as well as a bonus piece of writing from someone who sent me a story. This month, you'll get something from me and an unpublished short story from Adam Caton Holland. I'm really stoked about it. It's forcing me to write. It's keeping me really active. So yeah, subscribe to the monthly mail membership, man, and get some shit that I'm excited about, as well as something I'm excited to read every month in your little mailbox.
That's fantastic. And so you can you just sign up for that at samtallent.com?
samtallent.com, Tallent.
Talent with 2 L's.
Yeah, and all my tour dates are on there too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any dates coming up you want to plug?
Yeah, I'll be in Phoenix the 3rd and 4th, and then if you live in Denver or Fort Collins, you can come to my special premiere on the big screen on the 7th in the Alamo Draft House, Sloan's Lake, and then in Fort Collins at the Lyric Theater on the 8th. And then I'll have a screening of the special on the big screen, and then a Q&A with me and the director, cinematographer, and producer. So,
very cool, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to be in Montana the weekend of the 9th.
You're doing that gig, the new club, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's called like the Giggle Fit?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Giggle Bag or something.
And then let's see, where am I going? Bozeman, September 10th, and Billings, September 11th. So that's my little Montana run.
It's beautiful, man. Make sure you swim in the rivers.
Yeah, I want to, and it should still be warm enough, which is going to be cool.
Yep.
But yeah. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. I was really fired up when you sent me that DM. So
yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to have you. It's this thing where I have this loose list in my head to be better about keeping it, of like writing it down, and people who. And I was like, oh fuck, I gotta read Sam's book. Oh, Sam, let's have Sam on the show, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, send me your address and I'll send you a copy. I'm going to the post office after this.
Really? Oh, fuck yeah. I'll catch
sure.
you as soon as I get off, man.
Right.
But yeah, guys, read Sam's book. And if you have not seen him do stand-up, you got to go see him. Or you have an opportunity coming up in September to watch his special. He's one of the funniest people out there, and one of the most unique, which, as Sam and I, titans of comedy, just talked about.
Arbiters.
Very important. But thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Man, I love Sam. If you have any need for advice or want to call with any kind of questions, add to the show. Be a Mighty. The fans of the show, they're called the Mighties. You can be one. Just call 323-763-0228. Whatever the problem is, we might help. 323-763-0228. And thanks.
This Might Help with Matt Braunger was created and hosted by me, Matt Braunger. Produced by Outer Circle Media. Executive producers Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly for the Laugh Button Podcasts.